1, Lesson 24 involves the applications of systems of equations and inequalities. So there are two instructional outcomes. One, the use of systems of equations or inequalities to solve contextual problems. This would be our word problems. Or two, to interpret solutions within a particular context of the situation. So in this lesson, we're going to look at an opening exercise and we're going to look at example number 1. And again, the feel is just to give you an idea of what the students are looking at and dealing with in terms of a system. So in the opening exercise, we look into a statement from Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, where Tweedledum says, "The sum of your weight and twice mine is 361 pounds. Tweedledee replies, "The sum of your weight and twice mine is 362 pounds. They want us to find both of their weights. So when we're looking at this, it's important for the students to find a way to mark and identify who is who in this particular piece. So maybe in reference, we will let Tweedledum represent X, and we will allow Tweedledee to represent Y. So if we go in and we take a look at it, it says Tweedledum says the sum of your weight, that's important, your weight referring to Tweedledee, and twice mine referring to Tweedledum's weight is 361 pounds. So when we put that statement together, we want to be able to say that it is twice mine, so that'll be 2x, or 2x, plus y is going to equal 361. Tweedledee replies, the sum of your weight, so again when he's saying your weight here, he's referring back to Tweedledum, and twice of my weight is 362 pounds. So if we want to find that one, so the sum of your weight, so that's Tweedledum's weight, the x, and twice of mine, so plus 2y is equal to 362 pounds. So here we want to ultimately find what each person weighs, both Tweedledum and Tweedledee. So what might be suggested here is looking at the layout, elimination might be the way that most students would choose to go here. So if we use elimination, or basically what we want to do is eliminate either Tweedledum or eliminate Tweedledee from the process. So maybe if we chose to eliminate, let's just say we eliminate Tweedledee, I'm going to then go in and say, well, I could multiply this entire first equation by 2. That's going to allow us to align this column into one piece that's going to match. So 2 times 2, so we end up with 4x, 2 times 1 is plus a 2y, and 2 times 361 is 722. We didn't do anything with the second equation, so we'll just carry it over to x plus 2y equals 362. And so if we want to eliminate this particular column, Tweedledee, we want to ask ourselves, should I be adding 2 plus 2 or should I be doing 2 minus 2? And so the students will come to the reason we want to subtract the two columns in order to eliminate the y's. So 4x minus 1x is 3x. 2 minus 2 is a 0. And then so 722 minus the 362 is going to be 360. So now we have 3x equals 360. So if we divide that by 3, we find out that x will equal to 120, or what we now know for Tweedledum's weight will be 120 pounds. If I want to find what Tweedledee's weight is going to be, Well, I can again choose either of these equations that I want. Perhaps I choose the second one, the x plus the 2y equals the 362. So now that I know that Tweedledum's weight is 120 pounds, I can say 120 plus 2y is equal to 362. I can subtract my 120 on both sides. And so when I do 362 minus 120, I'm going to get 2y equals 242. Divide by 2 on both sides. And so y is going to equal 121. So now we know that Tweedledee weighs 121 pounds. So that's the opening exercise. Just some additional questions for thought. They might ask, could we have solved the problem above using only Tweedledee's sentence? And so we would have talked about that. Another one might have been, in a situation where there are two unknowns, how many equations do we need in order to write in the order to solve the system? 3, if I asked you, I was holding 20 coins, or some mix of dimes and quarters, could you tell me anything about each of the coins that I have? And then another piece is, what other piece of information will be useful in determining how many of each coins was I holding? And so those are just some additional questions the teacher may have asked, just to get students thinking about. Looking more particularly at this coin problem leads us into exercise number 1, where it says Lulu tells her little brother Jack that she is holding 20 coins, all of which are dimes and quarters. They have a value of $4.10. She says she will give him the coins if he can tell her how many of each coin that she is holding. So they want us to take this opportunity to solve this problem for Jack. So one thing, this is a two-part piece that we need to look at. One, we need to note that we have 20 coins, all of which are dimes and quarters. And then the second part of this, we need to realize that the value of those dimes and the quarters is $4.10. So one way that I could start to set this up is I could say my mystery number of dimes plus the unknown amount of quarters is going to equal 20 coins. Now I don't know how many dimes and I don't know how many quarters, but I do know that D plus Q will equal 20. Now when we bring in the $4.10, we're bringing in the essence or the idea of value. We know that dimes are worth 10 cents, so we can put 0.10D plus 0.25Q, and that's going to equal my $4.10. So ultimately we want to eliminate either the dimes or the quarters from the equation. So if I look at this, and it doesn't matter which one, so maybe if I chose to eliminate the quarters, I could multiply this row here by 0.25. And so now when I multiply that, I'm going to end up with 0.25D plus 0.25Q equals the product of 20 times 0.25, and that's going to equal 5. We carry over the other equation, the 0.10D plus the 0.25Q equals the $4.10. So since we chose to eliminate the Q's or the quarters, the question needs to be is, should I add this column or should I subtract this column and go to 0? Ultimately, the students will decide we need to subtract. So now 0.25 minus 0.10 is going to be 0.15 for my dimes, plus I'm going to end up with a 0Q here, and then 5 minus $4.10, we're going to get 90 cents. We carry over this 0.15D equals 0.90. We'll divide both sides by 0.15. And so we're going to know that D is going to equal 6. So I know that I've got 6 dimes. To wrap it up, if I know that I have 6 dimes, I can borrow this equation here, the D plus the Q equals to 20. Well, if I know I've got 6 dimes, 6 plus Q equals 20. I can subtract 6 on both sides, and I know that I will have 14 quarters. So the next several pieces in the student's homework is going to bring up problems similar to these two, where they're going to look for keywords and key ideas to create a system of equations, 2 equations, that they can meld together, and will likely in most cases use elimination, but it could also possibly use substitution in that particular piece.